everybody. Today I'm going to make a healthier version of Samoa Girl Scout cookies. They're the ones with the coconut and the chocolate, and they're super yummy. And these are going to be my healthier version. I see a lot of people making them online. It's not really my recipe. It's a recipe I've seen other people do, and then I've kind of just turned it into my own. So what I'm going to use today are some Metajewel dates. Dates are super sweet, and I'll show you how to work with those. I also took these out because I bought these at the store, and it's a different variety of date, and I haven't had luck with them for these cookies because you need the dates to like make a sticky sort of, I mean, they're going to make the sugary base of the cookie, and these are real dry dates, this type of date. So I bought the Metajewel instead, and I'll use those because they work way better in this process. But I wanted to show you these. I've gotten them to work. My product was a little drier, and I had to freeze them to try and get them to hold together. So just a little bit crumblier of a cookie, where these are going to hold up real nice with the Metajewel dates. And then these are the coconut chips. Just little pieces of coconut there. You'll see it when I take it out. That I'm going to toast that before I use it. So you want to have the toasted coconut flavor in the cookies. So I'll show you how I do that. And then the process. It's super simple. Those two things make the base of the cookie. Then over here I just have some dark chocolate bars. Like they're half eaten chocolate bars. So I'll melt those up. I'm going to put a little bit of coconut oil in there. Coconut oil melts really easily in your hands, so you don't want to use a lot of it. But I like that it thins out the chocolate, and it's a little bit easier for dipping and drizzling and that sort of thing. I'm preheating my oven to 200, which is pretty low, but that's where I'm going to toast my coconut at. So the first step on here is going to be to toast the coconut. I'm just going to use equal parts coconut and dates. So I'm going to do 1 cup of coconut and 1 cup of the dates. So let me get my tripod out, and I'll show you the process. Hi. Okay, so here we go. I just wanted to show my face in the video so you can see it's really me. Here's my coconut. I have 1 cup here. It's overflowing. I'll just stick all of that in. Can you see it? The lighting's really not great. I'm going to put that all on my baking sheet in a nice single layer so that it's nice and flat. And I'm going to take this extra because why the heck not? So spread it out single layer, and then that's going to go in the oven. I'm going to put it in for probably 8 minutes, and then I'm going to check it. You might have stirred around a little bit. So again, it's at 200, and it's going in not very long. Then I have my dates here. I'm going to work with these next. I want to show you how the dates work. I did a pasta recipe. It's a dairy-free, creamy bacon pasta that has dates in it. And so I talked about this a little bit then, but I want to show you that dates have a pit in them. And so you want to make sure you take the pit out before we work with it. So that's going to get discarded. And then you can see the date. It's like very sticky and chewy. It's a really sweet fruit. A lot of people will throw these in smoothies and stuff to add sweetness to it without adding like processed sugars. And they have a good amount of fiber in them too, I believe. Let's see. 3 grams of fiber in the dates. So I also need a cup of dates. So I did the cup of coconut on the tray. Oh, geez. And now here's my cup of dates. So I'm just using my hands to pull them open and then putting them in my measuring cup until I have my 1 cup. This one the pit was already out of. So there's my cup of dates. I'll let that hang out until my coconut's ready. I'm going to wash my hands because they're very sticky, and then we'll check back. Anyways, so when I first put it in, it browned really fast at first, but then it like slowed way down. So I think what happened is the oven was still like heating up, and when you're doing that, like the heat is higher. And so that caused it to brown right away, but then I needed to be patient and let it just hang out a little, like about 10 minutes until it got toasty brown. So you can see there's not any real like bright white pieces anymore. They're all sort of toasted. what happens when you toast the coconut is the flavor changes a little bit, and it's definitely like a different, deeper flavor to it than just the white coconut flakes if you were to eat them right out of the out of that bag. So here's my 1 cup of coconut. I let it cool a little bit before I turn the video on. So I'm going to add it right into my food processor. So in here is my 1 cup of dates. And then I'm going to put the coconut in, and I'm just going to food process that until it gets fine and sticky. So I'll show you that process. Okay, so here is my mixture when it's done. So the coconut and the dates are in here, and you can see that it's kind of clumping together in one big ball, and it's really sticky. And let's see if I can get you a better look at that. So it sticks, it holds its shape, it's sticking together, but it's not like clumping to my hands. So it's just a nice pliable mixture. If anything, I would say this maybe could have used more coconut in it. I might taste it, and I think I want more coconut in this. So what I'm gonna do is leave this in the food processor. I'm gonna toast up some more coconut, and then I will add that to here and see what we do. I think I'm gonna do another whole cup of coconut because it just doesn't seem coconutty enough. And I bet that I needed to do a 2-to-1 ratio. So I'm just gonna think on my feet and see where we come up with. So I'll leave this sit. I'll come back once I have more coconut toasted and we'll talk. Okay, so I did some more coconut. I toasted about another cup of it, and I ended up only putting about half of it in here. But my mixture is got a little more substance to it now. I just like the flavor better. Coconut they used in the recipe was the real fine pieces, and mine was like big chips of coconut. And so maybe it just measures differently in the measuring cup. So anyways, I added more coconut. It was my choice. I like the flavor better. Again, you can see it's a sticky product that it's easy to mold with your hands. So now we're going to shape them into the cookies. And this part's pretty easy. It gets a little, your hands get a little greasy because there's some oils in coconut. And so that'll get on your hands, but that's okay. So you just take a ball and you're going to roll it out. And then I have a cutting board right here that's lined with parchment paper. You can see my cutting board. Parchment paper, just easier for cleanup. I'm also going to put them in the freezer, so I want to have something that's easy to transport them, just to cool them down a little faster. And once I have the chocolate on them, I put the chocolate on once they cool, and once the chocolate's on, I like to put them in the freezer again, just to help that chocolate harden. And then I also store them in the freezer. You don't have to. Fridge would be fine, or just on your cupboard. But I like the texture when they're frozen. Roll them into balls, and then I will just flatten them a little bit because I want them to be like in a nice little cookie shape. And you can really make them as big as you want or as small as you want. And then once they're flattened, you don't have to do this step, but it just brings me joy. So I take a straw. It's sort of like a wider mouth straw, and I'm just putting the hole in the middle that you would find in the Samoas. Okay, so the cookies are in the freezer. They've been in there for a few minutes, probably 5 minutes. And I'm going to start melting the chocolate while they're just chilling. So in here, I broke up my chocolate into little bitty pieces, not little bitty, but smaller pieces. It'll melt faster if you break it up. I also have about a teaspoon of coconut oil on this spoon, not a whole lot. You don't need a bunch. So I'm going to let this heat up. I'm just going to let the coconut oil melt off the spoon, and then I'm going to mix it into oh geez, I thought I turned on the burner I was leaning on. I will mix it into a nice smooth mixture, and then when that happens, I'll get out the cookies and I will show you how I coat them in chocolate. So here we go. Okay, so now I'm ready to dip my cookies in my melted chocolate. Took them out of the freezer. They're a little bit cold. You can freeze them for as long as you want, but they're just a little easier to work with when they're cold, and I like that the cutting board gets cold underneath because that'll help that base layer of chocolate harden up. So basically for the cookies, I'm just going to dip it in because I just want the bottom coated in chocolate. And then I slide it off here, or you could use your rubber scraper to just clear the bottom of it so you just have a nice thin layer of chocolate. So just dip it and slide it across the spatula, and then we're not wasting any of the chocolate, and you don't have like big globs of chocolate on the bottom. I mean, maybe you want big globs of chocolate, and that's totally your prerogative. So for the chocolate, I just wanted to say, I used some dark chocolate bars that I had just in my kitchen. You could use any kind of chocolate you wanted. You could use milk chocolate. I think that's what's on the cookies. You could do just chocolate chips. I mean, there's a lot of different things you could do for the chocolate. You don't have to do what I did if you want, or just use what you have at home, really. So then I only made 10 in this batch, which is good. They'll sit in the freezer and I'll enjoy them. So there's the bottom layer. So I just did a nice little base layer of that. And then for the top part, what I want to do, so I'm just going to get, I'm just going to fill my spoon with chocolate so I have a little control over it. And then I'm going to just drizzle the tops with the chocolate so you have a little bit of chocolate on top as well. If you've had Samoa cookies, you know this is sort of what they look like. If you wanted to dip the whole cookie in chocolate, you could. I mean, hey, it's your life. And we're quarantined, so why not? So, a little bit more of a drizzle. I feel like I lost a cookie. I thought I had 10. Now, the chocolate, you want to work with it quickly because it will harden. If you aren't careful, or if you aren't going fast enough, it will get hot again. Or, I'm sorry, hard again. And then you would just have to cook it again. When I melted the chocolate, I used a very low heat, and I did it slowly. This pan works really well, too, because it's a cast iron pan, so it has, like, it heats very evenly. You could also microwave the chocolate. That would be another super easy way to melt it. You just want to pay attention to it and stir it. I would do like 30 seconds and then stir, and then 30 seconds and stir. So here's my finished cookies. I am going to pop them back in the freezer again to let that chocolate harden up, and then I'll take a picture at the end. It's flaky sea salt, and I love a sweet and salty sort of situation. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of some sea salt flakes on there. These are pretty big sea salt flakes. If you watched my chocolate chip cookie video, you saw that I put salt on those. Ooh, that's a lot. Salt on those as well. When you sprinkle salt on something, you want to hold your hand up high. I'm not close to it because I don't want a mound of salt. When you sprinkle it up high, you're going to get a little bit more of a distribution of it. So I added a little salt last minute because, hey, why not? All right, I hope you're well. I hope life is good. If you need anything, email me. If you have questions, let me know. If you have a recipe you want me to do, let me know. But otherwise, take care. Okay, I'm back real quick. I wanted to show you, I have extra chocolate here, and I don't want to just waste it because, hey, it's good chocolate. So I've just got a little glass container out, and I'm going to scrape it out of my pan, and I'm going to let it cool in there, and I'll probably stick it in my freezer just because it's where I store things. I guess it could sit in the cupboard too, but I'm just going to let it harden back up, and then when I need it again, or if I want it again, if I make another batch of these, I'll just pop this out of the fridge or freezer, and I'll melt it down, and then that way I won't waste all that chocolate. There I have a nice little container of chocolate that I'm going to hang on to, and I'll reuse it for another recipe someday. Okay, me again. Look what I just found in my freezer. It's stuck to the ceiling of the shelf in my freezer. So I told you, I thought I lost a cookie, and here it is. So this one I'm just going to dip in the chocolate that I saved, wipe off the edge. Just going to dip the top because I don't want to get another dish dirty. And there, that one will be super chocolatey. And then when my hands are clean, I'll sprinkle a little sea salt on that one too. So, not losing my mind, I did lose a cookie in the freezer. Now, when you put these back in the freezer, be careful not to get that chocolate all over everything else that's in the freezer, because your mom would probably get mad at you. So pay attention to what you're doing. All right, this time I'm done. Okay, so I just took them out of the freezer, and you can see that when they're frozen, now they peel off the parchment really nicely. The chocolate sticks to the bottom, and you have your nice little cookie there. I'm just going to store them in this Pyrex dish, so I'll just keep them in here. And you can even stack them up because they, oh, that's bad videoing. Because the chocolate's hard on the bottom, they won't like stick to each other at this point.